how do I know whether I'm in faith or in fear about something? I'm not in faith if I have fear. Faith and fear cannot coexist. I don't care what somebody tells you. Oh, that's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of fear. It's okay to blah, blah, blah. It's really not. When you finally make space for rest, it's like your brain turns on. You're like, oh, this is what having capacity looks like. This is what creativity looks like. This is what free thinking looks like. It's time for a Mama Megan talk today, okay? We have a lot to talk about, and let me tell ya, so many of y'all just need to take a little breather today. So we're going to talk about the concept of rest, but hopefully in a different way than you've ever talked about it before. My name's Coach Megan. If you're new here, this is the Powerhouse Podcast, the #1 pageant podcast on the internet. And we love to help you not only win your pageant faster than ever, but also help you transform your mindset for good, which, as we're going to talk about today, literally is the foundation of everything. I can teach you pageant stuff. That's like the 20%. But if the 80% is screwed up and you're constantly growing weeds, like we're going to talk about, in your identity and sowing seeds that are bad in your mind, then it don't matter what I teach you. You ain't gonna do it when it actually matters. So let's dive into the concept of rest. This is something that, in all transparency, I'm even studying again in my own life right now because, growing a baby, growing a business, growing a church, and growing a consultancy with my husband and a YouTube channel, and my husband going through what he's going through health-wise right now, there's a lot. There's a lot. And that would take most people out, let's be honest. And whatever you're facing, it most likely feels like it's going to take you out, right? Doesn't have to be the same as me. We all have different capacities. We all have different seasons. It's not a contest, but finding rest is really important in every season. And actually, I was just listening to a podcast before this of somebody that I greatly respect. And there's something about the number 7 when it comes to a cycle of rest, when it comes to a cycle, period, that both biblically and non-biblically, maybe the non-biblical things are based on biblical principles, which is why they're a thing. But regardless of how you look at it, I was reminded that I was like, wow, every 7 years, even in the Bible, was, first of all, it's a complete number. Okay, it's the perfect number. It's the number for Jesus. And also too, it's what in like crop cycles and the harvest cycle, every 7 years, people would get their land back. And there was a year of Jubilee. And what that meant was slaves would go free, people would return their land to them, and there was a whole year of a Sabbath rest. And interestingly enough, I've been, we're preparing a lot as a team to say, okay, how the heck is Megan going to take maternity leave? Thinking about that financially, thinking about that team-wise, thinking about taking care of all of our clients. And it's actually a really great time, to be honest, to have a baby. It'd be another thing if it was like now, like a month before everyone's pageants. So hallelujah, because we didn't plan that. The Lord did for sure. But I was also thinking about how we're closing out the 7th year of our business. And I was like, whoa, all these feelings that I'm feeling of like transition and preparing for the new, my husband and I are launching a YouTube channel in June, 8 months pregnant, casual. And these different things. And I was just like, man, Lord, yeah, like I feel like I'm coming to the end of a cycle. We have a lot of new and exciting things. We're redoing our website. We're redoing some branding. We're making our courses more available for you guys in kind of the $300 to $500 range because I'm really passionate about making that affordable. But also I want to be able to duplicate myself as much as possible where we just have more access to me and to my brain. And we're renovating Powerhouse, spoiler alert, to be kind of like 3 levels. So you've got our 3 courses, Slay the Stage, Think Like a Winner, and the Prep to Pro, which is kind of the all-encompassing A to Z practicality, skill set side of things. And anything that you need to like succeed on the like I said, walking, talking, that kind of a thing. And eventually we'll probably have an interview course too. And I'm, redoing the website, redoing all these things, and just feeling like a wholly unsettling in terms of like, God, I know I'm supposed to be doing this. I know that you're telling me to make these changes, but it's stressful because you have to make sure the house is still in order. And maybe, you're listening to this and you're like, man, I'm making all these changes and I still got to go to work every day. Still got to get an A on my test. I still got to go to the gym, right? It just feels like you're juggling a bunch of different things at the same time. And so this is where rest is really important. And Hebrews 4 talks about now faith is a rest. So how do I know whether I'm in faith or in fear about something? I'm not in faith if I have fear. Faith and fear cannot coexist. I don't care what somebody tells you. Oh, that's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of fear. It's okay to blah, blah, blah. It's really not. I mean, it's okay to acknowledge, hey, I'm feeling these feelings 100%. But to say that that's faith is a disservice to what faith actually is. And it's a disservice to you because it actually puts a cap on the ceiling of where you think that you can grow to and what is normal, what is the best for you actually look like. So faith is a rest, which is why, for anybody who's lived with fear or anxiety or depression or, mental illness or just different things, panic, I've dealt with all those things. That's not what I would describe rest as, right? And so I think it's so beautiful how God talks about like, hey, we are supposed to be people that abide in rest. And what this looks like is faith is being able to see the end from the beginning, regardless of the circumstance. Yesterday, we finished out the Think Like a Winner 4-week course live. So much fun. And we talked about our behavior. We talked about how our internal representation and our state of mind, our state of emotions clearly dictates the actions that we take from there and our habits and our behaviors. Whether it's why does my leg shake during my interview or my eye twitch or my hands go super weird, all those behaviors are a sign that we are not at rest in the internal world. And then we helped you guys work through strategies for that anxiety and strategies for those fears to completely eliminate them in a matter of, 5 or 10 minutes, which is cool because some of y'all have been dealing with this for years. So back to the 7-year cycle, it was really eye-opening. My husband was actually the one who said something to me. And then it's funny because I watched a podcast like right after that talked about the exact same thing and talking about burnout prevention. And I was like, apparently I need to be the one preaching this to myself. So now I'm preaching it to myself and to you. And, I try and be as transparent as possible. And so what's cool though too is when you have a solid identity, like I was in the Word for like 2 hours this morning and I was like, Lord, I just need to like fill my cup. I need to rest. I need to like take more than a second. Cause here's the way that like rest, sabbatical, these different things work. I've been saying like, babe, I think I need a sabbatical, which is what my maternity leave is going to be, but also not because it'll be a whole other kind of work. But anyways, and I was listening to this podcast where he was talking about like, normally a 3-day weekend or a day off will kind of help to scrape off the top. Okay, great. We can still achieve. We're good to go. But when that's not enough, we need to reassess and we need to be able to really look at ourselves and say, okay, do I need to take a prolonged season of rest, whether that's a week or in this case, the person that I was listening to took an entire month and he talked about how difficult that was to actually slow down and how challenging that was to like teach himself to not be in this hurry and this craziness and to really see his entire identity in what he could do. And he was saying that actually in the first week, he created a whole new business. And his wife was like, dude, that's not rest, like at all. What are you doing? That's not a sabbatical. And that's totally something that I would do because, when you finally make space for rest, it's like your brain turns on. You're like, oh, this is what having capacity looks like. This is what creativity looks like. This is what free thinking looks like. And I don't know about you, but if you're just living kind of off the top, 1, 2, 5%, it's not a fun place to be at because it's not really even the real you. You're using 5% of your brain to have to live a 100% life. And so I'm really excited as we come to the end of this pageant season. I'm really making room for God to speak in my life because when big changes are coming or, again, which a lot of big changes are coming in my life personally, and I don't know what's going on in your life. Big change, big swings require big thinking and a lot of time sitting and being like, what do I do? Right? And so many of you guys are such high achievers that you're really good at taking action and you've learned how to take action. But we want to make sure that we're taking action from wisdom rather than taking action from a place of scarcity and a place of fear. And I'm culprit of that too. I have to remind myself, like, hey, are we making this decision from rest, from victory, from a place of knowing who I am and that what God says that, he takes care of us. And if the birds don't worry, why should I worry? And, these different things that we can stand on. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And if you feel like you're coming into the end of a season or you're in the transition of a season, that 100% is biblical. And I'm asking a lot of questions right now because as I grow the company and grow a human being and take care of a human being in a couple months, I want to make sure that we're servicing you guys in new ways that didn't even exist before, right? And how am I going to get smarter, get wiser, figure out those strategies? And again, for you guys, like, how are you going to figure out the strategies to be more efficient, to be better communicators, to be wiser, to get over your anxiety, to do these different things? We have to get in the secret place. That's where the answers are. And I was reading Matthew 6 this morning where it was talking about in the secret place is your reward. And it says he will reward you openly when you spend time in the secret place. And so I just wanted to submit that to you guys today to really think about. And in the next episode, we're going to talk more about our thought life and how just because something's growing, just because something's fast, doesn't necessarily mean that it's good, because weeds grow as much as good, beautiful plants do. So I hope that you guys can engage in rest today. Maybe read Matthew 6, read Hebrews 4, and really just analyze where you're at. And I'd like to say this in closing. If you were not a part of our Think Like a Winner course that we just did, we are going to be making that evergreen, which means you guys can purchase it. And we're going to have it on sale right now for $500. And I just want to gift this to you guys because I cannot tell you how much transformation happened in 4 weeks. You can ask anybody that went through the course. Like, it just so far exceeded my expectations in terms of literally watching people that had struggled with false mindsets, insecurity, not self-centeredness, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-consciousness, comparison. And I just watched how these things fell to the ground as the true identity of the person that you've always been created to be, but didn't know how to be, or didn't feel worthy to be, or just didn't have the right language for to like put things together. And then all the way through to your mission, your brand, your values, and your behavior. We worked on all these things from the inside out to make you the most congruent match for someone that wins consistently, which is my goal. I want you to win faster, easier, with more peace. So, we did this in 6 hours over 4 sessions, you guys. And if 6 hours of your time to get rid of years of anxiety, bad habits, doing weird things. Is what we talked about yesterday, was being weird. All the reasons why you're weird in your interview. You're weird to other contestants competing, and either your behaviors, your body, or what comes out of your mouth just manifests like weirdness. And you're like, dude, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why is my leg doing that? Why is my eye twitching? Why does my arm do this on stage? All the way down to making sure that you know so explicitly how to communicate. This is why I should be Miss Minnesota. This is why I'd be the best candidate for Miss Nebraska. This is why this matters to me. This is, sharing your hero story, coming into authenticity, being like, here's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and every single bit of it has made me qualified, and actually believing that rather than pretending, defending, distorting, or hiding. We talked a ton about that because so many of y'all do that. You're like, pageant, and we put on our mask and we talk our pageant talk. I can't tell you how many times a week people will say, well, here's my pageant answer. I'm like, why? You are self-aware that this isn't even your real answer. Stop it. Be a normal person. Be authentic, right? But then we teach you how to be authentic and how to make sure that your brain allows you to be authentic. And so click the link in the description and the show notes to buy previously called Think for Good, now called Think Like a Winner. And again, 6 hours of your time, you guys. That's it. 6 hours to get a transformation that you've probably paid thousands of dollars for gone to thousands of dollars of therapy for years. And this is going to be able to really, really help you if you apply it. Okay. I can't obviously make any medical claims, but this will really, really, really help you. Coach Allison and I put our soul into this thing. And I'm very, very, very proud of what it delivers. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that it will help you and it will help you quickly. So for all of you guys who have been procrastinating or who maybe don't financially have the money to work with us at the level that you'd like to for, say, an intensive or the academy, or maybe you do, but you just want to get your toes wet and you're like, hey, let's just kind of see what Megan's all about. Let's just see if this really could help me. What's $500 in the grand scheme of things? Like, you're going to spend that on something stupid anyway. 3 or 4 outfits that you're never going to wear that you can sell on Marketplace later. So go ahead and pick that up. Do yourself a service. You guys can, watch it over the course of 4 days. It'll go very quickly. We have homework in between each thing and PDFs that you guys can go through, and it will change you for good. It will. It'll make you a different person. And I'm really, really proud of that. So thanks you guys for watching and listening, and I'll see you guys next week.